The tragic life of a narwhal, the ocean's most confused unicorn birth, the beginning of a horned misfit. Ah, the miracle of life. Unless, of course, you're a narwhal. Unlike majestic sea creatures like orcas or sharks, a baby narwhal enters the world as a weird little whale with a tooth that can't decide if it wants to be a sword or a really bad fashion statement. You'd think nature would have given us some kind of edge for survival, but nope. We start as a slow-moving, cold-water whale with a built-in fencing foil that serves no real purpose. To make matters worse, our parents? Not exactly the most protective creatures. No special welcome into the world, just a push into the freezing Arctic waters, and a silent hope that we don't immediately get eaten by something with sharper teeth. Appearance. Nature's unfinished experiment. If fish were designed by an artist, the narwhal looks like an early sketch that never got finalized. We are basically a regular, slightly chubby whale with a giant, spiraled tooth sticking out of our faces like we lost a fight with a unicorn. This tooth, which everyone assumes is a horn, grows straight through our upper lip, making us the only creatures in the world whose dental problems count as a defining feature. And let's talk about size. We're not small. We grow up to 17 feet long. Unlike dolphins or orcas, who get sleek, powerful bodies, we get this. No cool dorsal fin, just a slow-moving whale with an oversized toothache. The long nose, a design flaw or a cosmic joke? Let's take a moment to appreciate just how absurd our horn actually is. First of all, it's not a horn. It's a tooth that got too ambitious and decided to go rogue. Most animals use their teeth for things like biting, chewing, or, eating. But not us. Our tooth decided that instead of being useful, it would grow out of our face like an inconvenient flagpole, forcing us to navigate life with a built-in obstacle. And the worst part? It doesn't even have a universal purpose. Scientists still argue over why we have it in the first place. Some say it's for attracting mates, because apparently size does matter in the narwhal dating scene. Others think it's for sensing things in the water, which, let's be honest, is just a fancy way of saying it's a glorified thermometer. But let's face it, half the time we just use it to accidentally poke things we shouldn't, including each other. The only thing worse than having a giant, useless tooth? You just get stuck in a block of ice because you underestimated your own face. Childhood, the awkward years that never end. Growing up as a narwhal is like being the weird kid in class that everyone stares at, but no one wants to mess with because they don't quite understand what's going on. Unlike other whales that have social hierarchies, we just kind of exist in the Arctic, bobbing around and trying not to impale each other with our ridiculous faces. We spend our childhood figuring out what, if anything, our giant tusk is actually for. Some say it's for fighting, some say it's for impressing mates, but in reality, we mostly just poke things with it and hope for the best. Other sea creatures develop survival skills, hunting techniques, migration instincts, ways to avoid predators. We grow a spiral tooth and hope it's useful someday. Swimming, the art of slow-motion drifting. Most whales and dolphins are powerful swimmers, able to slice through the ocean with grace and speed. Narwhals? Not so much. We can swim, sure, but it's more of a sluggish wobble through the icy waters of the Arctic. Our long tooth? It doesn't help. And escaping predators? Forget it. Unlike orcas or belugas, we have no sharp turns, no burst of speed, just a slow, steady, please don't eat me energy that somehow gets us through life. Narwhal intelligence, smarter than a rock, but not by much. Narwhals aren't exactly known for their intelligence. Dolphins can do tricks, orcas plan attacks. Narwhals? We mostly just float around looking confused. Ever seen a narwhal try to solve a problem? It usually ends with them swimming in circles, hoping the issue magically fixes itself. One narwhal once got its tusk stuck in a hole in the ice and spent 3 whole hours trying to back out instead of just turning its head. It finally got free when the ice melted. Problem solving? Not our strong suit. Funny incident. The Great Tusk Tangling Tragedy. One of the worst things about having a giant spiral tooth, sometimes we accidentally get them tangled with other narwhals. Picture two of us gracefully swimming when suddenly, bam! Our tusks twist together like nature's worst game of Twister. Now, instead of two independent whales, we're stuck, floating awkwardly in the Arctic, while our pod pretends not to notice. It can take hours to untangle. Sometimes we have to wait for a wave to nudge us apart. Once, an unlucky pair of narwhals had to wait until a pod of belugas helped break them apart, after laughing at them for a good 2 hours. The shame never really fades. Diet, eating like you forgot how to hunt. Now, you might think that having a giant, sword-like tooth would make us excellent hunters. Maybe we spear fish or a duel with squid. But nope, that giant tusk? Completely useless for eating. We actually suck our food up like a vacuum cleaner, swallowing fish whole like a weird, floating Roomba. And our meal options? Not exactly 5-star dining. We eat whatever sluggish, half-frozen fish happen to be nearby. Narwhals versus humans. A game of hide and seek. Narwhals think they're masters of stealth. When humans show up, we dive deep under the ice and pretend we don't exist. The problem? Our giant tusks often stick out of the water, ruining the whole invisible act. It's like trying to play hide and seek while holding a broom over your head. Predators. Everything wants a piece of us. Despite having a giant, intimidating tusk, we are not fearsome. In fact, we are a favorite snack for orcas and polar bears. Yes, polar bears. Those land-based floof monsters will literally wait at breathing holes and snatch us up the second we come up for air. Most big animals have some kind of defense mechanism. Sharp teeth, camouflage, the ability to fight back. We have a single tooth. And it's not even sharp enough to be useful in a fight. Mating. A weird, tusk-based popularity contest. Now, you'd think finding a mate would be easy when you have a built-in unicorn horn, right? Wrong. Narwhal dating is less about romance and more about who has the biggest, most spiraled, most ridiculous tusk. That's right. Our whole love life is determined by who has the most impractical tooth. Since we don't really fight with our tusks, because, again, they're not actually weapons, we just sort of wave them around and hope another narwhal is impressed. If you have a short or weirdly shaped tusk, sorry buddy, no narwhal love for you. Death, the sweet release from this awkward existence. Eventually, after a lifetime of bad swimming, unimpressive hunting, and failing to justify our own anatomy, we die. And how do we go out? Do we get a grand, heroic ending? We just stop floating. Maybe an orca finally catches us. Maybe a polar bear drags us onto the ice. Maybe we just get stuck under a piece of melting ice and call it quits. Either way, the ocean barely notices we were ever here. And honestly, that's probably for the best.